From the apps on your phone to the biggest, most complex video games out there, there's this core design philosophy that keeps everything from just falling apart into chaos. Today, we're going to break down exactly what that is. Object-oriented programming, or OOP for short.
I mean, seriously, think about it for a sec. A modern video game has thousands, maybe millions of things interacting all at once. You've got characters, items, the environment, the physics. How in the world do developers manage all of that complexity without their code turning into a total spaghetti code nightmare? Well, this is the exact problem that a really brilliant way of thinking was designed to solve.
And that solution is object-oriented programming. See, instead of just writing super long lists of instructions for the computer, OOP lets us model our code after the real world. It's all about creating these digital objects that have their own information and their own abilities, which brings a beautiful, elegant sense of order to all that potential chaos.
So how do we get our heads around this? Well, the core idea is actually super intuitive. We just need a simple analogy to unlock the whole thing. Let's think about building a car.
Okay, this slide right here is the key to everything. On the left, we have the class. Now, I want you to think of this as the master blueprint for a car. It doesn't describe one specific car. It describes what every car needs to have: a place for a brand, a model, and a list of things it can do, like start the engine. Then, on the right, you have the object. This is the actual car you built from that blueprint, your specific Toyota Corolla. It's a real instance of the class. It has its own unique data, but it automatically knows how to do everything that was defined in that original plan. Blueprint and the real thing. Simple as that.
And in programming, this is what that looks like. Creating the blueprint is step one. We literally write out a template called a class. Right here, we're just defining the blueprint for a car and telling the program what kind of information it's going to need to hold on to, like a brand and a model.
And now we put that blueprint to work. From that general car template, we create a real tangible object that we can call My Car. We give it its own unique data, Toyota and Corolla. And then we tell it to do one of the things from the blueprint, like start_engine. And boom, just like that, the program connects the abstract plan to our specific object and gives us a real result.
All right, so now that we've got the core idea of blueprints and objects down, let's look at the features that give this approach its real power. And trust me, these aren't just boring technical terms. They're like programming superpowers that this whole model just unlocks.
First up is inheritance. This is a massive time saver. It basically means you can create a new blueprint that automatically gets all the features of an existing one. It's kind of like creating a family tree for your code. So, for example, we could create a new sports car blueprint. Now, it would automatically inherit everything from our original car blueprint: the brand, the model, the ability to start the engine, and then we can add new specialized features like a turbo. We don't have to rewrite a single thing from the original.
Next up, we've got encapsulation, which is all about creating a kind of protective bubble around our objects. It bundles an object's data and its abilities together in one neat package, keeping it safe from any outside interference.
It's just like your car's dashboard, right? You just press the Start Engine button. You don't need to know or care about the spark plugs, the fuel injection, or all the complex wiring that's happening underneath. Encapsulation works the same way. It hides all that internal complexity and just gives you a simple set of controls to work with.
Then there's polymorphism, which is a fancy word that literally means many forms. But all it really means is that our code can be super flexible. Imagine you have a car blueprint and maybe an electric car blueprint. You can tell both of them to drive, and they'll both move forward. But how they do it is totally different. One burns gas, the other uses a battery. Polymorphism is what lets that same command produce different results depending on the object.
And finally, there's data hiding. Now, this is a key safety feature that goes hand in hand with encapsulation. It's all about making sure that other parts of the program can't just barge in and accidentally change an object's important data. I mean, you wouldn't want some other program to be able to randomly change your car's mileage, right? Data hiding basically locks that information down, making sure your objects stay consistent and reliable. So when you put all these features together, you get the ultimate prize: reusability. You write a blueprint once, and you can use it over and over and over again. A great real-world example is a sports game series like FIFA or EAFC. The developers don't build a whole new game from scratch every single year. They reuse the core player and ball objects and just update them. This lets you share your blueprints across projects and just massively cut down on writing the same code twice.
So what's the big payoff for thinking this way?
Why has OOP become such a dominant approach in pretty much all of modern software development? Let's take a look at the advantages.
The benefits are just huge. On one hand, you get all these practical wins. Your code is way more organized, it's so much easier to maintain and fix when things break, and of course, it's reusable. This is what lets projects scale from a tiny app to a massive system. But on the other hand, there's a more fundamental reason it works so well. It just feels natural. It gives us an intuitive way to model complex, real-world problems right inside a computer.
And this isn't just some abstract theory either. Object-oriented programming is literally everywhere, running the software you use every single day. Let's connect this back to the world you already know.
Just think about the characters running around in a video game, or the buttons and windows in the apps you use on your phone. Think about the massive software that runs banks and businesses and airlines. At their core, pretty much all of them are built using these object-oriented principles to manage all that complexity.
So if you take away just one single thing from all this, please let it be this quote. The entire philosophy of OOP is to create a digital world that mirrors the real one, a world with distinct objects that have their own properties and their own behaviors.
And that's our number one takeaway. Object-oriented programming is one complete, powerful way of organizing the digital world. It's a way of seeing everything as a collection of things, of objects.
So to sum it all up, OOP gives us a structured, reusable, and really intuitive way to build complex software. It does this by organizing code around these objects and the actions they can perform. It's a proven and incredibly powerful way to build things.
Which, of course, leaves us with one last fascinating question. What if we shifted our entire perspective? What happens if, instead of modeling the world based on objects, we modeled it based on events and our reactions to them? Well, that's a whole other way of thinking, and it's something we'll explore next time. Thanks so much for joining me.